It's now time for Party Chat Sports.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
And welcome back, everybody, to Party Chat Sports. I'm Caleb Gill. We've got Drew Nelson, and we've got Grogu in for Cam. You will notice that one of our four is not here this week with us here at Party Chat Sports. That's because
Said you didn't want to be on the podcast no more.
No, let's not go that far.
Not that?
Let's just say that even though we just got through week 2 of the NFL season, it was something that might have been a little bit more important in one of our lives that happened this last week. Want to congratulate Dillon and his bride on a...
All right, we got it.
Yeah, we got that. But congratulations to you two, and hope you guys have a happy life together. They're off in Greece celebrating, while the rest of us get to do our podcast. So Dillon is a bum this week, but it's understandable why he's not here to an extent. He could probably be on at 4 in the morning his time, but you know, we won't get into that too much. But again,
if he was committed to the pod, he'd be on right now.
This is true.
Yeah.
He would have found the time. So just remember that.
I mean, congrats and all, but I can't talk, but anyways.
Right. We're not here to just congratulate Dillon for the entire pod, however long this goes, an hour, hour and a half or so. We are here to talk about week 2 of the NFL season. A couple shockers this week, a couple things that I'm still trying to figure out. How the hell did that happen? Yep. And let's start with that Thursday night football game where I think, yes, the Dolphins losing by 21 is a big story, but the bigger story is probably Tua suffers another concussion. There's a lot of question marks about his future. Should he hang it up? He's already had 3. I think this is his 3rd recorded concussion since being in the NFL, because I think he had 2 that were recorded that 1 year. And he went into that fencing pose again, which scares a lot of people. Ultimately, it's going to be Tua's decision. That is a big story that comes out of this. But ultimately, you do have to tip your cap to the Buffalo Bills for getting it done in Miami, 31-10, the final there, Thursday Night Football.
James Cook cooked.
He did.
He did. Josh Allen didn't really have to do much of anything.
Yeah, James, I feel like he scored almost every time he touched the ball. That's what it seemed like at one point. James Cook, touchdown, he had a 17-yard pass from Josh Allen that went for 6. And then in the second quarter, he had a 1-yard touchdown run and a 49. It was a one-play drive, 49-yard touchdown run. So if you had James Cook on your fantasy team, if you didn't win,
yeah, I was liking what I was seeing out of James Cook, a little revival, another breakout game. And then I went to the bathroom and realized I was playing Drew, who had James Cook. So F you Bills, but good job for dominating.
Yeah, Dolphins are cooked.
they really are.
They
put Tua on IR, so he's out at least 8 weeks.
I saw that, and I saw that the reason they put him on IR was to give him time to meet with, neuro doctors.
Yeah,
it's not good.
So we'll see what happens. I think he already had said that he wasn't going to retire, but we'll see. I would imagine after his last contract, he's probably got a good amount of money that will still be coming to him even if he did retire.
I'd imagine there's something in that
Mulligeta is his agent.
That David, yeah. I'm sure he's got something in his contract, like how Deshaun Watson's contract has something. I mean, that helps the Browns, but, there's stipulations in every contract. I'm sure Tua's got his medical protections that are going to make sure that he gets his money regardless of injury. It's just scary. I mean, it's one thing when you mess up your knee time after time, like Nick Chubb. It's one thing for him to have his knee bent completely in the other direction and mess up the cartilage and everything like that, bounce back from that, and then have another knee issue. But it's his brain. It's to his brain that keeps getting hit, keeps these concussions are going to be serious, and the discussions he's going to have with his family. How many more of these can he take?
How many?
And he did like last season. He got better with sliding. This time he took the hit right into DeMar Hamlin, and it's unfortunate when you have to sit there and wonder if this dude's career is over because of injuries.
It really wasn't even that big of a hit.
No,
Like,
I didn't
pretty
think it was.
average play.
Yeah,
And then all of a
Just
sudden
tried
he
to
just
truck him.
so he didn't even try to truck him. He just dove funny. But I think that's one of the bigger problems is because he got concussed from that. It seems to be that he gets concussed a little bit easier than he did before.
it
So-
probably is. Like once you have that first concussion, it's probably you become more susceptible to getting more, or more prone to getting more, and that's what it seems like with Tua. Is he's just vulnerable, which is
Either way, the Dolphins are in a bad spot.
I mean, he threw
and,
3 interceptions before the
yeah.
they were in a bad
Yeah, he
spot
was-
before the concussion.
Yeah, he was bad before he got the concussion, and then now they're even worse
They're cooked.
somehow. So, good job for everyone who didn't put the Dolphins in your playoff predictions.
Damn it!
It's looking good.
It's not like
Are they? Who'd they play? Oh yeah, they're 1-1. I thought they were 0-2, but they squeaked out that week 1. So we'll see. Tua's out at least 4 weeks, maybe forever. Who knows? So I
But
don't
also-
think Skylar Thompson's getting them where they need to be.
probably. Also, the Bills.
Tyler Huntley.
He'll come in. Tyler Huntley will probably end up starting in a couple games. That's my
Pro
guess.
Bowler.
Exactly. Probably the best Pro Bowl quarterback that the Dolphins have on that roster. The Bills do deserve credit for still winning 31-10. They were up like it wasn't even close when Tua got hurt. They got the job done, and the Bills, they just like Josh Allen didn't even throw a lot. 19 pass attempts, 139 yards, but they still got the job done. And they're just going to be annoying. They're just going to
Good.
be.
Josh needs some of these games, especially this year, where he doesn't have to do everything.
He really
Like
does.
week 1, he had to do everything and to get the win. And this week he just didn't give the ball away, and that's all he had to do.
All right, I'm tired of the Dolphins and the Bills. Let's go to the next game.
Yeah. So that was pre-wedding. Let's get to post-wedding games. Our Sunday flight of games. Cam, I know you're eager.
And this
On the edge
is
of your
not the
seat.
shocker of the week, Sammy D, baby. You know, I did feel more confident this year than last year going into this game, just because we did have Sam Darnold who did play for them. I will tell you what, and I'm gonna put this as PG as possible. I was very, very excited when I saw a 97-yard touchdown pass. That's all I'm going to say about that. But
I think most people would
Vi-
be.
the Vikings, no, I said in a PG way, excited. Anyways, the thing because I didn't get to talk about last week, I am most impressed with their defense. When the opposing quarterback comes up to your defensive coordinator and says your scheme is crazy, that's a compliment. And that shows how much better the Vikings are getting on defense under their second year, or the second year with Brian Flores. I'm very, 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 very proud of the Vikings this week. It was a angry household for about 4 hours. because we do have a Niners fan. But go Vikings,
On probation.
dude. What a start. 2-0, top of the North, king of the North. Let's keep it going, please. Sam's, stay healthy. Also, Gill, I need you to talk about how you said we're not going to talk about the defense until they played a real team. And now I will pass it to you.
I'm a big believer in not overreacting in the first couple of weeks in general. Like, especially these first couple of weeks. Teams are still trying to figure it out. Got to tip your hat to Sam Darnold. That touchdown looked a lot like the one I saw Sam Darnold throw to Robbie Anderson against the Cowboys, coming off his mono game. Like, that was his first game back from mono. It gave me those vibes. I think did I say it last week that I want to see Sam succeed? It just sucks that I have to root against him because he's in purple. I want to say I did say that last week. If Sam Darnold were anywhere else, I'd be rooting for the guy. But because he's in Minnesota, I find it hard. But I want to see Sam succeed. He's been he's a guy that he's got that Ryan Fitzpatrick where he can be a spot starter. He'll give you some games. Ride the high while he can, because when that comes crashing back down, it's going to crash and burn. So ride it for as long as you can. It's going to be fun. He's going to give you some plays, but at some point, don't overreact to Sam Darnold in the first 2 weeks. Let's see if Sam Darnold can keep this going. That's the one thing. Like, I've seen this before.
That's what you hope.
Multiple times.
Let's be real. Say it honestly.
I've seen this before. He was an MVP through the first 4 weeks of the 2021, 22 season, his first year in Carolina. He was balling out. It's like, oh, Sam Darnold, revival, la la la. And then he comes back down to earth. Like, I imagine it's going to happen at some point, and that's fine. That's going to be his career. It's that Ryan Fitzpatrick type of career.
Yeah, but he has O'Connell. There's a difference.
So, you think Ryan Fitzpatrick didn't have good OCs?
I don't think he had O'Connell.
I can guarantee you at some point he had
stop
somebody
sleeping
better
on
than
him.
Dude,
We need to
Todd
stop
Monken.
sleeping on O'Connell and his play calling. That's all I'm going to say.
Whatever. I'll let you have it. I don't feel like getting into that argument right now.
Thanks for being the Niners. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. The
Anyways,
Niners do have a tough stretch. They don't necessarily have a tough stretch coming up, but because the Rams, they're depleted. The Patriots are depleted. They're not depleted. They're just not talented. Maybe more well coached. We'll see what Brock Purdy looks like without Debo and without CMC these next couple weeks. We'll see what Brock Purdy is. I know you guys are really hoping to find out that he is a bum.
Not me. Excuse me.
You're right. I think he's going to play fine. I still like some of the throws that he made in that Niners game, or that Vikings game.
Yes.
It just ultimately didn't work out at the end. The Vikings won that game. It wasn't the 49ers necessarily lost it. Like, you have that where it's like, oh, the Niners lost it, and the Vikings took advantage. The Vikings won that game. Sam had a couple great throws at the end. The defense clutched up. You have to tip your cap to the Vikings because they got it done ultimately at the end there.
Let me add in Fred Warner will always be in my nightmares. That guy is insane.
He's a baller.
I don't think we've ever seen a better middle linebacker ever. He's number one in my book. Yes, but I think
Luke
Warner's better.
Kuechly is the best
Top
linebacker
two.
of our generation.
Top two and not one.
Do we have anything else? Cam, this is the last time you get to mention the Vikings tonight. Get it out now.
King of the Norths for week 2 or through 2 weeks. Tyson Chandler might be a dog. What am I kidding? He's always been a dog. And Jalen Naylor is averaging a touchdown a week. So that's all I'm going to say.
Where do you guys play next?
The Texans, which will be another tough game.
Just hope that they're not eating dogs down there in Houston. Okay. All right, let's move on. I think we can get through a couple of these games pretty quick. Seahawks, Patriots. Seahawks, better team. Geno had some great plays, but I think the big one that stands out is DK Metcalf just being the fastest man alive. Like, he is built like an alien. He shouldn't move as fast as he does, and yet, how many times have we seen him just, like, down the sideline? 23-20 win for the Seahawks over the Patriots. I believe that was Mike Donald. Nope, he's 2-0 now.
And OT.
Seahawks are 2-0. It was OT. The Patriots are going to be a team that are... They're not going to be an easy out. Like, I expected them to be an easy out. I expected them to be the team that, would just kind of, like, submit, I guess, is a better way,
Nope.
not the best way of putting it. But the Patriots, they're going to be tough. They're going to play you hard, and they're not going to make it easy for teams that try winning against them. So, good win. Overtime win for the Seattle Seahawks. They're currently leading, aren't they? The NFC West.
Yes.
2-0. They're 2-0 right now. So, getting a couple wins early for them is huge.
They're pretty ugly wins against bad teams. So
Yeah, I mean, they still put up,
See.
like, I think ugly, and I think, like, Colts-Packers, that's ugly. Like, if both teams still managed to score at least 20.
the Seahawks-Broncos last week was not good.
That was gross. Any team that plays...
Seahawks,
we'll get to
Patriots.
that one. We'll get to that one. But, like,
I don't know.
23-20
See.
could have been better. It could have been worse.
I just don't think they'll continue to be good.
I think they'll finish the year, like, 8-9. That math?
I think they have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Rams, though. That's for sure.
Well, that's the thing right now. With the Rams missing 8 guys or so, the 49ers are hurt a little bit. Cardinals, it legitimately could come down to the Cardinals and Seahawks. It shouldn't, but maybe the Seahawks win that division by going like 9-8. I know I just said 8-9 for the Seahawks, but I mean, who knows? This is a division that looked like the 49ers were just going to, just walk
They still
away
will.
with. They'll probably find a way, but it's not going to be easy.
Last time they lost to the Vikings, they went to the Super Bowl. So
This is true.
keep that in mind.
This is true.
Well,
All right.
too bad they're cursed.
Who?
Niners.
The Niners.
I mean, they've been to 3 Super Bowls since Steve Young and have lost all 3. In our lifetime, they've been to 3. 0-3. All right.
Yes.
Giants. Gross. But Commanders,
Trash.
Jaden Daniels gets his first win as an NFL quarterback. That's good for him, but still.
Commanders are in
Giants
first place in the NFC East.
No shot.
Yep, because they have a division win.
That is ugly.
Everyone's 1-1, except for the Giants.
Malik Neighbors getting involved. 10 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown. The rookie
He
receivers...
did more than get involved. He just was their offense.
Also
They
ruined
had
the
to
game,
be.
but tough luck.
So, Daniel Jones had 178 yards passing. 127 of them was to Malik Neighbors. So, 51 passing yards went to everybody else. That is... You're not kidding when you say that Malik Neighbors was the offense for the Giants.
Yeah.
But on the bright
Quick
side,
question.
Daniel Jones, he threw a touchdown to somebody that was on his team. What's your question, Cam?
Was there anybody that I think there was one, but anybody that surpassed 300 this week?
Passing yards?
Purdy.
Was it just Purdy in garbage time?
Garbage time. It was a one-score game.
Just gonna. You told me I'm not allowed to talk about the Vikings anymore, so
I'm just saying, how can it be garbage time in a one-score game? Gino threw for
could have been.
327. Gino threw for
Okay, so
327. We'll see as we go through. I'm not going through every single game right now to see what the passing yard leaders for the week were. But it's good to see the rookie receivers getting involved here in week 2. Malik Neighbors being the offense. That's what they need. Daniel Jones sucks. The rest of the offense, they don't have anybody, so they're going to have to lean on Malik. And that is going to be their best chance of staying in games. I just don't know. I don't think they'll be. Both the Panthers and the Giants will be winless when they play each other in Germany. But I don't know when they get those victories. Like, it's going to happen at some point just because it's the NFL. But when those victories come, like, I don't know.
The Commanders won, and they did not score a touchdown.
Second week in a row. Someone keep it going.
No, they had a touchdown week 1.
No, they didn't.
Because I thought Jaden Daniels scored.
Okay, Steelers.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels scored twice.
Steelers 6 Googles. I said second team.
Yeah, two teams.
Gotcha.
Anyways,
But
next game. Who do we got, Gill?
Chargers, Panthers. Panthers blow. They suck so bad that they had to bench the first overall pick from not a few years ago, last year's first overall pick. And I'm not here to say that we collectively at Party Chat Sports were right and knew better than everybody when we said C.J. Stroud was the best quarterback in that class, but we were right.
Better.
Let's take our victory lap there.
Yeah.
There is no argument. That is the only. There's not a lot of things that we agree on collectively, all 4 of us simultaneously agree on.
No,
That
never.
we did. And we do, always will, because it's the facts. He just was the best quarterback. And I was listening to Mel Kiper talking about, like, Bryce Young, and they did fail him. It is so difficult to go from, you have coaching staff that you're working with in college at Bama. Then your first year in the NFL, that's a transition in itself. But not only do you have to deal with that transition, you see the guy drafted right after you have a phenomenal 4,000-yard rookie season, which isn't the norm, right? That's the outlier.
And playoffs. Don't forget that.
Yeah. C.J. Stroud had one of the best rookie seasons for a quarterback in recent memory. So seeing that, it's like, well, shit. I'm supposed to be that guy. That's supposed to be me. And then the Panthers give him a new coaching staff. It was always going to be a project because he's smaller. His size was always going to be a struggle, and the Panthers didn't do enough, I don't think, to help with that. But also, at the end of the day, his confidence is shot. Shot. Like, this is, I jokingly, 10 minutes before I sent the Bryce Young is bench tweet, I jokingly said, can we start having the conversation that Zach Wilson's better than Bryce Young? 10 minutes later, Bryce Young's benched. But that's what I'm seeing a lot of. It's just the confidence isn't there. He's just, I didn't think it would explode this bad, this fast. And Dillon mentioned it. He might be one, if he's not the biggest quarterback bust of all time, at least Marcus Russell had a cannon for an arm.
Even Mayfield made a comeback.
Mayfield wasn't a bust.
He wasn't a bust, though. He made the playoffs with his original team.
Yeah, I'm not saying he
draft.
was a bust, but he definitely wasn't what he was supposed to be at the time.
Like, you're going to look at Bryce Young is going to be, or is already, should be in the same conversation as guys like Marcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, biggest bust of all time. Zach Wilson. 2 games into his second season, he is benched.
He's trash, but also the Panthers are a poverty organization.
They are.
They have no resources to be able to help him. Owner's trash. Sucks for him, but I don't think he would be good even on a better team. I guess we'll see. Resurgence of Geno Smith and Sam Darnold and kind of Baker.
You have to have.
I mean, Baker wasn't good in Carolina either.
No.
But he's good in Tampa, and he was decent in LA when he was there.
You got to have Jets connections for them to have that resurgence. Sam Darnold.
You get failed by the Jets and then go somewhere else, you'll be good.
Todd Bowles, Baker's head coach. You have to have failed in New York for you to have that resurgence. Or be with somebody that failed in New York. It sucks for...
J.K. Dobbins is back.
That.
Yes, sir.
We all love J.K. Dobbins here, and we all just wish that dude never got hurt. Because he'd be a dog.
Yeah, but he's where he's supposed to be right now. I think Harbaugh, as much as I hate to say this, let me cut you off real quick. J.K. Dobbins getting into a Jim Harbaugh from Michigan to San Fran offense is the best thing that could have ever happened to him.
What about John Harbaugh offense?
I don't know if it was going to work out as much. They changed too much. Jim Harbaugh will always run the ball, no matter what, and also he doesn't have to compete against 3 or 4 backs.
The competing against 3 or 4 backs is one thing, even though I think it's him and Gus Edwards or another Ravens back there in L.A. But I'll lie. J.K. is with...
It's literally the Ravens running backs from last year, except for Justice Hill.
Harbaugh feasts on having former Ravens. If it be former Ravens defensive or coaches on his staff, if it be former Ravens running backs in the NFL, that Jim and John connection yielding positive results. What do we I still want to see more from Justin Herbert, but I don't know if they're going to give him the opportunity to do that. J.K. had 17 carries. Quentin Johnston caught a couple passes. Didn't know he could do that.
Got a couple touchdowns.
He did. I didn't even know he could catch a pass, let alone a touchdown. I guess when you play against the Panthers, that's like Caleb Gill playing against Ann Arbor Huron. Magical things can happen.
Let me ask you something. So, Herbert got paid. I think this might be his best route because I think he's going to get his best possible outcome and not blow a 27-point lead in the playoffs.
It is. I mean, it is the Jim Harbaugh system. It's what he did in San Francisco. He had Frank Gore, right, in San Francisco, where they just pounded the rock. But then, once they got to the playoffs, Alex Smith was a dog. And then Colin Kaepernick became that guy where he was able to do that. A little bit more mobility, a little bit more athleticism. But Jim Harbaugh's philosophy always has been and always will be run the rock. They're going to do that. I just hope that they let Herbert be unleashed at some point. Because I don't want to see him wasted there. I think he's got the talent. I think he's in the best situation now with Harbaugh and what they're trying to build. But
but if he wins championships, what's it matter if his stats are low?
Harbaugh never won a championship, though.
Fair enough.
They've got the right formula to make it to the playoffs and preserve Herbert. But I want to see a little bit of that Herbert magic throughout the season and then let him cook in the playoffs if you want to win a championship.
Joe Alt, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
He really should be. Control Alt Delete. I love that name.
Elite nickname.
That is.
Joe Alt versus TJ Watt this week.
Let's get it. I'm so excited.
TJ Watt not going up against a bum. That's
going
to
He'll line up against who's the Chargers tight end right now. That's who's getting TJ Watt.
All right.
J.K. Dobbins and pass pro versus TJ Watt.
Drew, sorry, I gotta do this to you.
Oh baby, let's go.
44-19. Saints come rolling. They're marching in to the Jerry World.
Marching in.
That was beautiful, Gill. Hold on, round of applause. Hey, that was beautiful, Gill.
You don't need to stroke my ego, man. I already know I'm good at this.
Okay.
The Cowboys got smoked. The defense just decided that they did not know how to play football at a even collegiate level. They looked, they were playing high school level football, maybe even middle school level football. I think it was 6 straight drives for the Saints ended in touchdowns. You're not winning the game, and if your defense lets up 6 straight touchdowns, that's it. And honestly, the offense did okay with keeping up in a normal game. Getting towards the end of the first half, it was what is that noise? Don't do that again. It was 28 to what was it? 28 to 13 or yeah, 28-13 when freaking Jalen Brooks just decides to fall down and we throw a pick. If we can score on that drive, it's 28-20 going into half. That's a game.
Yeah, you feel better about that.
But Brooks falls down, pick, they score. It's 35-13 at half, or I think we ended up scoring a field goal before half. Anyways, the game was over pretty quick. The defense looked abysmal. Our defensive tackles are terrible. I believe Dak and CD and Zeke have more tackles than three have more tackles than 3 of our defensive tackles.
It's not good.
So that's not good. That's not exactly what you want. What else? DBs were bad, especially the safeties. I mean, Rashid Shaheed he's fast. He's pretty good. He got behind the DBs, and Diggs should not have said anything about Olave. It's a recipe for disaster.
You're gonna talk your shit. You better be able to back it up.
Just a terrible game all around. The problem with this is that it's a repeat of things that have happened in years past. You just get dominated against a Shanahan disciple of some kind from the tree of Shanahan. So, not a good look, not promising for the future, and there's not an easy fix because the fix would be have your defensive tackles not be terrible. It's likely we don't have any on the roster that are capable of that. So unless some trades happen or there's just some mystery man out there in free agency that just decides to be amazing, we're kind of cooked in that aspect. On offense, we have one weapon. His name is CD. Brandon Cooks is an old man.
Zeke's an old man.
Rico Dowdle doesn't get the ball enough and hasn't been fantastic when he does.
Deuce Vaughn is small.
Deuce Vaughn is small. Sorry, Gill.
Short Kings.
Ferg.
I'd say Short Kings fries, but we can't really get up that high.
It's not good. It's not good. We'll face the Ravens this week. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get some things heading in the right direction, but it's just very discouraging thinking that, this year would be any different. Like I said, you can scheme up however you want. Like, if your players just get manhandled, there's nothing you can do. So, we got manhandled. Alvin Kamara went crazy. Derek Carr looks good. The Saints look good. We'll see if they can keep that up. Let's definitely not take anything away from them. Like, everyone was calling their first week a fluke because it was the Panthers, which probably, yeah. The Cowboys aren't terrible on defense. Like, we got manhandled for sure, but it's still not a terrible defense, and they manhandled us. So, excited to see what the Saints will do. The NFC South looking a little bit better than we had imagined. So we'll see. Good for Derek Carr, though.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Derek Carr.
Smoked.
Alvin Kamara, 3 tutties.
Tutty 4.
Oh, yeah, receiving 1 as well. Buddy. This next game against Ravens, because Ravens are 0-2.
He wants it more. He wants to turn around the narrative more.
And the whole, it's almost like you should have really went all in this offseason and got quality players instead of just banking on your 3 superstars on the roster being like this isn't the NBA. And that's what it seemed like Jerry Jones went in with the mindset of trying to build it like an NBA roster where you can get away with all you need is 3 stars. You really just need 2 stars in the NBA or 1 to have a championship caliber team. But in the NFL, you need a lot more than that. You need a couple weapons. One weapon is not good enough. I've preached it multiple times. I've been called greedy. I don't care. It's the truth. You need more than one weapon if you want to get to the championship. Unless you have an alien in Patrick Mahomes, and even then, that's a whole nother story. Defensively, Micah Parsons, you've got, Trayvon Diggs was coming off of an injury. It seemed like you can't really say you're all in when you don't do jack squat throughout the entire offseason.
I think his opinion of being all in was paying CD and Dak. He was like, "Yep, that'll fix everything."
And
we paid our guys.
That's building it like
Same
an NBA
thing every year.
It's building it like an NBA team, and you have more than double the amount of players on the field at one point, or on the field at a time, than you do in the NBA. It just isn't the same. You can't build it the same way. And I don't know. When you say that it's the same story of the Shanahan tree, it's almost like coaching's the problem. I don't know if it is. I don't know how you feel about Big Mike right now.
Like I said, the offense was not doing terrible. In a normal game, we had 16 or 19 points at halftime. I think the average team scores 20-some points a game.
Right. So we
were well on pace to be over that. But when you're down 35 to whatever it was at halftime,
it's
your
demoralizing.
offense breaks down. You start throwing the ball around. You start being dangerous because you have to come back quick, and it all collapses from there if you can't capitalize. So, as far as Mike goes, the problem that we've had is I don't know if it's necessarily Mike's fault because we're not getting the pieces that we need to be making to be a championship caliber team.
But it's
I also don't think that Mike. Yeah, I also don't think that he's the one that would even be able to. He doesn't do anything different. He's not a differentiator. He's a. I don't know how to explain it.
The scheme's going to work, and if it doesn't, oh well.
Yeah, he's not setting himself apart as far as this. It's not tricking anybody what we're doing. It relies on our players being better than yours, and if they're not, then we lose. If they are, then we win. The scheme itself doesn't. It's not fooling anyone. It's not leading to victories necessarily. If anything, it leads to more losses with some of the decisions he makes based on early down runs and all that kind of stuff. And then Zimmer, this is only a second game, so we still have time. We still have to see. Maybe our players on defense just need time to adjust to the new scheme, but not great. And the only thing that I take away from this, disappointing loss is because we have Dak and CD signed, it's not the end of the world. Because before they were signed, it was this might really be the last ride, going into a full rebuild mode after the season. But now that we have them signed, it's okay, still got a few more shots at it. Because unfortunately, unless something crazy happens, then they just trade away all of our assets at the deadline, which is never happening with Jerry Jones. It's not looking promising. So,
and the last thing I'm going to say on this game is, holy hell, the Saints' offense, Clint Kubiak, the next best thing from the Shanahan tree. Maybe, I don't know, might be too early to tell.
You better relax.
I think Derek Carr was going every drive between the Panthers game and this game.
14 straight.
Yeah, 14 straight scoring drives. The Jets could hardly score 14 points last year. It is insane. It is so fun
Pretty
to
good.
watch. It looks
Pretty
like
good start.
the Saints are an SEC team playing the early part of their schedule. That's what it looks like right now. That they're just going out there, they're just doing whatever they want, and nobody's going to stop them until they get to SEC play. That's what it feels like. That this is where we're at with the Saints. And at some point, they're not going to score 40 points in a game. Like, they're going to come back down to earth, and that's when we'll really see who Derek Carr is. It's easy to look great when the entire team is dominating, and by the second half, you really don't have to do much. I want to see this Derek Carr continue to stay aggressive and continue to play this way when it comes down to a 2-minute drill, when you need to win it in the fourth quarter. Let's see that. I want to see that and see how they respond to that. Because right now, they've had no adversity. They've just gone out there and put their pedal to the metal and decided, you know what, we're going to do whatever we want. All right, speaking of...
I think I watched like 5 minutes of this game.
Yeah,
I was on the move, and every time I turned it on, something bad would happen, and I turned it off. And then I turned it on thinking that maybe it was just one time, and then the same thing would happen, I turned it off. And then eventually got to the point where I just did not turn it back on again.
At least you got to watch the Niners lose. And all I'm going to say on the game is this is what you get for signing Zimmer.
Well, week 2, we get to, at least it's not as bad as it could have been with the Niners and the Lions and the Eagles and even the Ravens also losing. So
could be a lot worse.
Dang, that's tough.
We'll get to a couple more of those later in this, but let's move on to the Colts-Packers real quick. Anthony Richardson looked like a rookie. And I think with Anthony Richardson, you still have to kind of like, because he only played like 4 or 5 games last year, he's still going to make his rookie mistakes here. Like, this is, in a way, his rookie season. Like an extension of his rookie season. Fair enough.
I have a hot take.
But also, before we get to your
Hot take.
go for it.
Okay,
actually.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that Josh Jacobs is a freaking baller. 32 carries, 151 yards. Dude just might have been one of the best free agent pickups.
Yes.
Sorry, was that your hot take?
No.
Okay.
Hot take. Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay are better coaches, are the best coaches from the Shanahan tree. Even better than Kyle.
O'Connell?
No,
Nope.
not yet.
Oh, no, that's a McVay tree, actually.
It's still Shanahan tree
Still Shanahan tree.
because they were all on that Washington staff together where Shanahan was the OC and Mike Shanahan was the head coach.
Yeah.
But Kevin owns Kyle.
I just said Kyle was the worst, man. I'm talking about LaFleur and McVay.
McVay, absolutely. I think McVay's the best head coach from that tree in general. He's got a Super Bowl
LaFleur
win.
and-
He's been to 2. LaFleur, what he's been able to do with Rodgers, 2 MVPs back to back, and then they get Love. Love looks like a guy at the end of last year, and then being able to scheme up an offense where Malik Will is 12 for 14 in one of those dropbacks that he had. He didn't throw the ball because the center puked on it. Like, who knows? Maybe it would have been 13 for 15. I don't know if the center doesn't puke.
Shout out Josh Myers.
All I'm saying is if you give LaFleur or McVay the Niners roster, they're the dynasty.
McVay, absolutely. Because McVay hasn't had that choking history in
He also
the
had
big
it.
games. Like, McVay, he's won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
And his other Super Bowl loss, yeah, that was a choke job, but it was against the greatest head coach of all time. I'm not going to fault him too much on that one, seeing as he's still one of the youngest head coaches in the NFL, still, and he's been a head coach for what feels like a decade.
Yeah, and that first Super Bowl was like 5 years ago.
McVay,
Considering
absolutely.
Still one of
retirement.
the,
LaFleur's
still
a
one of
bigger
the 2 youngest ones.
McFleur's a bigger hot take, but I don't hate it. Because what he's been able to accomplish, he's accomplished, I don't want to say similar with less, but
Close
Close.
with less.
what he's done
I mean,
with
they
less,
they almost beat the Niners last year. If Jordan Love doesn't go full, doesn't throw across his body.
Yeah,
to a
you
pick.
can't do that.
But anyways, that's my hot take.
16-10, the final there in Green Bay, and I don't hate it because I went into this game thinking the Packers were just going to get shellacked.
So the Anthony Richardson magic is over.
We'll see.
Turns out you actually have to complete some passes.
17 for 34, 204 yards, 1 tutty, 3 interceptions. One score game. Could have won it there at the end. Clearly didn't. He's still going through growing pains. He's still trying to figure out what he can and can't get away with. I expect, because of his playing style, we're going to see a couple more of these. But we're also probably going to see a couple more games where it's like, holy hell, that dude just made the NFL highlight reel again. But you do have to tip your cap to Matt LaFleur and what he was able to do with this Packers team. Malik Willis coming in. He's only been there 2-3 weeks now. So you can only do so much with him in general. It's impressive. It was really cool to see. And then just like you knew the game plan had to be Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs had 32 carries and $150 plus. That's coaching. That's coaching. All right. Want to move on?
Yep.
Yep.
Browns-Jaguars, 18-13. Browns get their first win of the year. The Jaguars aren't able to get it done at the end.
I think I'm the only one that picked the Browns to win in the pick'ems. You guys were sleeping.
Yeah,
I might have changed it.
I definitely took the Jaguars because I thought Trevor Lawrence was a better quarterback over Deshaun. I just think Deshaun's buns. Again,
I'm the only one
I
that
gotta be
picked
careful with the choice words I use for Deshaun Watson because, like last week, I said he was booty cheeks. I probably like it. I'm not impressed with the Browns. It's just more so the Jaguars were far less impressive. Their leading receiver was Brian Thomas Jr. He had 2 catches, but 94 yards. And you were kind of high on him last week.
Yeah, I think he
He
looked
said
good.
he might be good.
He looked as good as the Jags will allow anyone to look because they are not good.
Yeah.
And it's getting awfully close to bust talk here.
Wait.
Trevor Lawrence hasn't been terrible by any means, but he is nowhere near where he was projected.
No. And
It doesn't show any signs of him getting.
And I said that during the offseason, when talking about quarterback contracts in general, the issue with Trevor Lawrence is that he came in the league, the expectations that were given to him were so ridiculously high. Like, he was viewed as the next best prospect since Andrew Luck. He was in that Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. Like, it is so difficult to achieve that in general, which is why I hate making those comparisons. Like when Dylan Raiola comes out, I will not make a Patrick Mahomes comparison. I will not say it's the next Patrick Mahomes.
You have to. He looks just like him.
I still won't do it because I just think it's unfair to the player. However, I didn't think he would be middle of the pack. Like, I thought he'd at least be 100%, no doubt, top 15. Now I'm not sure where he's at. Is he? He's not the worst quarterback. I don't think you can put him in the... If you're trying to... I don't know how you do your quarterback list or tiers, but he's not, like, the best. He should be making top 5 money. He's not the worst. Like, I don't know. He's just middle of the road, and he should definitely be better than that. And it's, I think we are, by the end of the season, we'll know if Trevor Lawrence doesn't progress at all, like show any sort of like improvement. I think next offseason, there's going to be a lot of talk about the Jaguars bringing somebody in, at least to compete with Trevor for the starting job. At a minimum, compete for the starting job and open that competition back up.
Cam, how's your NCAA game going?
Doing pretty good. Staying locked in.
You got any opinions here on
What
the
I'm going to
Browns
say on
Jaguars?
this game is it is the most boring game that I probably looked at when I was watching Minnesota kick San Fran's ass. I had no intentions of turning this game on. I knew Deshaun would suck. I knew Trevor would suck. And I don't think there was any cool highlights that came out of this game, so I did not pay much attention. I think the Browns' karma is catching up to them. I am not on the train of saying you should have kept Baker because I don't think Baker would be what he is now, going through what he went through. But you have to find a way to get rid of that Deshaun contract ASAP, some way, somehow, or else you will be in purgatory for the next
Brother,
10
they're going to
years.
stay in hell.
They've been in purgatory.
This isn't
They've
purgatory.
never left.
This is hell.
Yeah, that's true. And if they did keep Baker, they would at least have capital to do something else.
Like, I agree.
They have nothing.
I agree with most of what you're saying about Baker. Like, Baker
Should we start
is...
Jameis? Would you start
Yes.
Jameis?
Yes.
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 I would start literally anyone else.
But
When your linemen aren't picking you up, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. I get on our players about doing that.
I mean, I agree with most of what you're saying there with regards to Baker. He wouldn't be as good, probably, as he is now if he would have stayed in Cleveland. But he still shouldn't have been kicked out of Cleveland. The Browns...
Still better
got
than
the
Deshaun's ever
surgery.
been for the Browns.
Right.
Yes.
He's never...
100%. Joe Flacco has been better than Deshaun has ever
Yes.
been for the Browns.
Browns should have kept Joe Flacco.
And I think we
he
talked
should have been
about
the
this
starter.
last week, where it's not... We know it's not the system. The system works. Joe Flacco came in off his couch and won games, made it to the playoffs. But Deshaun Watson hasn't won. He hasn't, like... I'm going to see people like, oh, he had a rushing touchdown. They got the win. Are you really impressed with Deshaun Watson, or is it just the glaze? And
No,
is it
hold
just
on.
like...
That's Justin Fields.
I feel a lot of that same way about Justin Fields. That's a whole other topic of
Sorry, Dillon.
conversation.
I'm so sorry.
But Deshaun Watson, man, the only way to get out of that contract is if him being a creep continues or
Allegedly.
proves to be true. If it proves to be true, the alleged reports, that's how the Browns would get out of it, which is very unfortunate. It's very messed up in general that we've gotten to this point, or that any of this has happened. Like, I do want to say, like, these reports, these allegations that have come out against Deshaun, not just this most recent one, but the 25 others, is messed up. And it sucks. If they're true, I feel terrible for those that were involved. We don't know if they're true. If they are, Deshaun Watson needs to be out of the league, and he needs to be wearing a different shade of orange elsewhere.
He needs to be locked up right next to Diddy.
I think that's a good...
Allegedly.
allegedly. I
They
think that's a
say
good place to
he's
say.
been to a Diddy party.
A lot of people have probably been to Diddy parties, but we don't need to talk about Diddy parties. We're not trying to get canceled here at Party Chat Sports, so let's move on. Speaking of Baker, he got the
Oh, let me do it. Let me do
20
it.
to
Let me
16.
do it.
Go for it.
Oh my gosh, Lions, what's going on? At home, you lose to Baker it was nobody but Baker Mayfield. Rashad White, we're going to have a talk soon. He kind of messed up my whole week and my whole fantasy team. Baker Mayfield went into Detroit and absolutely dominated and did everything himself. Good defense from Todd Bowles. Always going to expect that. Are we putting Ben Johnson on too high of a platform right now?
On the,
I mean-
I have something to say about that real quick.
Go
On
ahead.
the ex-PFF podcast, now, what is it? Check the Mic podcast is what it's called now. They talked about this, and they said that they may have been able to, teams have been able to figure out Ben Johnson because of fact that he stayed with the Lions for like his fourth year now. So he's doing the same things he's been doing with basically the same players he's been doing it with. So it's easier to figure him out than it was before.
That's fair. If he's good, if he's as good as I think he is, he'll catch on to that, and he'll make his adjustments and he'll make his improvements. Again, it's week
Unless
2.
Jared Goff keeps being terrible.
Goff needed to play better.
Let me add my last 2 cents on this. Hutch might be a top 5,
All right, brother.
10 defensive end. If he keeps playing how he's playing, if he keeps good work ethic, I'll give it
As
to him.
long as they keep putting absolute dog water backup tackles against him, yeah, he'll probably do really well.
Anyways, we're gonna.
But
I'm trying
Goff
to give the Lions a little bit of praise. But
Goff threw 55 times. It should have come down to that. And that's happened a lot with the Lions and Jared Goff, where they ask him to throw the ball a ridiculous amount. The run game needs to be better. Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, he averaged 6.5 yards per carry. David Montgomery wasn't the guy he was in week 1. Amon-Ra had a good game, but you're still asking a lot. 55 times compared to Baker throwing the ball 19. That's insane.
Crazy, actually.
The defense, I was impressed with the defenses in this game. I took the over. I thought the over-under was set at 51.5. I thought the over was going to hit. I had no faith in either of these 2 defenses. So for it to only be 36 total points for this game, I did come away impressed by the defenses. But Baker had his longest touchdown run of his career, 11 yards.
He said he was sad about the reporter told him that, and he was sad.
I watched that like 2 hours ago, and that's the only reason. I love seeing Baker have this success. I feel so great for him. It's fun to see. We'll see how far, because the Bucs and the Saints are going to have to play each other at some point. That's going to be more must-see TV now than we originally thought it was going to be heading into the season. So good for the Buccaneers. Lions.
It's always kind of been must-see TV with Lattimore and frickin' Mike Evans getting into a fight every time.
This is true. Lions, I expect to bounce back. They'll be fine. It's one loss. It's the NFL. It happens. That's really all I got.
Lions fans, at least you didn't get blown out. So
Exactly. It could have been a lot worse.
Could have been worse.
You could be tied for the bottom of the division. Or at the top of the division.
Well, they're not tied. Oh, I guess they are.
All 3 of them.
They're also all tied for
Only
second.
one. Mm-hmm.
True.
Probably not necessarily
You're not
because
first,
like
you're
conference games and how all that factors in. But another road team won. JTS first win, technically the second win with Aaron Rodgers as a starter, but the first one where you play the entire game as a starter and got the dub. I walked away from this game not feeling as good as I hoped I would feel afterwards. Like, there's still, the defense struggled to stop the run, and the saving grace was Will Levis just being a roided out Zach Wilson. Making dumb errors. His head coach, Brian Callahan, is calling him out and saying, like, it's dumb. He can't be doing that. That's a saving grace, because at least one, the fumble where he was trying to throw it back, that was in the red zone. That's at least 3 points. Swing right there. But Aaron Rodgers
is 2 for 2 on giving unbelievable screenshots.
Right.
Freeze frame pictures. 2 weeks, 2 absolute insane screenshot pictures
Maybe 3,
from his game.
4.
I want to see how far.
I hope he continues. The problem is if he continues at this rate, he will no longer be playing.
No.
For the Titans, probably not playing for anyone else
So
in any sort of starter role.
One thing I didn't realize about Will Levis, like, I feel like we probably overhyped him. I don't know how much we really hyped him heading into this season, but any sort of hype that we gave him was probably a little too much.
I don't think he received any from us.
I probably gave him a little bit. I don't remember how much. I don't really feel like going back. But Will Levis, he had that 4-touchdown game. His first start, 4 touchdowns. And then he had like only 5 more the rest of the season. And he started off, really great first game for him. And then since then, just hasn't played that well. I do expect to see him benched at some point if he doesn't start trending upward. Especially if his head coach is already saying, like, you can't be doing this back-to-back weeks.
I don't even know who they have to play instead of him.
I don't know.
Kind of stuck.
Probably. From the Jets' perspective, though, on that same side of the ball, I thought it was Sauce's worst game as a Jet.
I heard he got cooked. They were talking about that on the podcast I was talking about earlier.
The Calvin Ridley touchdown, which, yes, Sauce could have played that better, but also the safety is coming down. He should have had the pick. And that ball just miraculously, I'm still trying to figure out at times. Like, I've watched it a couple different times. Still don't know how that ball made it through 2 Jets defenders into Will Levis or Calvin Ridley's arms. But still, there was a couple different plays where he just got beat. Calvin Ridley got the best of him. There was one where they used a pick. And so that technically, because Sauce is the closest guy, he's the corner that's like, oh, that yard goes against him. I was watching that game, I'm like, this isn't Sauce's best game. He also, there's a ridiculously high standard for Sauce where if he lets up a catch, it's like, oh. People get upset on Twitter and try the second he messes up anything. It's interesting to see. He'll bounce back. He'll be fine. What's that?
That's the way it goes when you're the best.
Exactly. You can't mess up at all.
And a corner.
It's so hard to be so good at corner all the time. Like it's going to happen. You're going to give up some stuff. Just don't give it up all the time. The running backs, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen.
Yeah, I'm very upset with you.
I'm a little upset too that Breece Hall didn't get those touchdowns. But he got
Braylon Allen, please.
He got the
begging.
Breece Hall got the nice catch, though. That was a nice pass from Aaron Rodgers.
I'm pick for Braylon Allen right now.
I'll give you Isaiah Davis. I want to see more of that, where they're using both running backs. I want to see that pony, set where you have both running backs in the formation, like lined up on both sides of Aaron Rodgers' hips. I like seeing that because they really have the option now of giving it to one or the other, and you don't know. Breece Hall is still a dog. I do want to see him start picking it up a little bit, but you have Allen, so just let him cook. Garrett Wilson, 4 catches, wasn't bad. Aaron Rodgers still, it seems like that rust is shaking off. So, brings me to my next point. Why the hell aren't starters playing in the preseason? I have a huge issue with that in the Jets. All their starters sat during the preseason. Like, you couldn't have sent them out for a drive, a couple series. Just shake that rust off a little bit. Like, I get trying to keep Aaron Rodgers bubble wrapped, but you do have to let him cook at some point. And that's another issue I have, too. Nathaniel Hackett is still calling plays like Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, and Trevor Siemian are your quarterback. Like, he's not being aggressive. It's still run, pass in most situations. The play calling is aggravating the hell out of me. There's some good things that came from this game, like a couple nice Aaron Rodgers passes. The one to Mike Williams where he went up for the 50-50 ball that set them up to win the game. In the last 4 or 5 minutes of that game was nice. I want to see Thursday Night Football. I'm curious to see how they come out against the Patriots. If it's another close game, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about this team. Because this is a game that shouldn't have been that close. If the Jets are who pundits and experts claim to think that they are, this game should not have been a one-score game. The Jets should have been able to
a fake expert.
Not you, not anybody here at Party Chat Sports. We know what we're talking about. Most days.
That's nice of you to say.
Yeah. Don't take that compliment. That's the only one you're getting the rest of the night. But the Jets should have won this game by a lot more. I want to see how they come out against Thursday night. It's their home opener against the Patriots.
When was the last time you beat the Patriots?
End of week 18 last year. The last time we beat the Patriots at home, though, 2015, yeah. Ryan Fitzpatrick, overtime, touchdown to Eric Decker, and I think that is my Roman Empire. Like, that 2015, the end of that 2015 Jets season, I think about that sequence, that Eric Decker touchdown, constantly. I want more memories. I want better memories. I want newer memories. All right? Like, let's shellac. Let's beat the living hell out of the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. And I'll start feeling a little bit better about the Jets. But I'm not at a point yet where I'm ready to maybe even react appropriately, let alone overreact to the Jets, regardless of my family. I think they did okay. The defense, the run game is scaring me right now. Like, we are going to lose because we can't stop a third down run at some point. And we're going to keep giving up these long drives, and then Rodgers is going to be cooking, or he's going to have a good series, and then he's not going to see the field for 8-10 minutes of game time. That's what terrifies me right now. It's weird that I'm more scared about the defense than the offense. Hasn't happened in a while, but I love seeing the running backs get involved. And shout out Will McDonald, who had 3 sacks in this game, including the sealer at the end. He had the game-winning sack that sealed the victory for the Jets. So congrats to the first-round draft pick. Anyone need to add anything?
No, I didn't watch.
You said it all.
Raiders, Ravens. Shout out Cade. Gardner Minshew. Brock Bowers. Oh, are we brocked up for Bowers? So brocked up for Bowers. It's been a dog. And with
Devontae Adams looked like Devontae Adams of old.
Didn't this happen? Was this last year? It was last year, where Gardner Minshew got an overtime win against the Ravens, right? When he was on the Colts?
I think so. Sounds familiar.
Gardner Minshew just has his way with the Ravens.
I think it was also early in the season, too.
I think it was. I think it was right after Anthony Richardson went down. Anyways, Gardner Minshew, what a guy. I mean, somebody else start talking here.
Yes, it was week 3, I think,
so
or week 4.
It was early.
Go ahead.
Week 3 or week 4 last year, Colts beat the Ravens 22-19 in overtime. So, Gardner Minshew, yeah, he might own the Ravens, and the Ravens are in bad territory. What's the stat? Like, since 2021, like 4 teams that started 0-2 have made the playoffs.
We're going to start seeing that stat a lot this week.
Probably like half of those were the Bengals. Who are also 0-2.
We're going to see that one paired along with what's the analytics for teams that start off 0-3 to make the playoffs.
Even worse. I would have to imagine the stat for 0-3 teams is probably 0. Yes, I'll wait till next week when there's a bunch of 0-3 teams, and then we can see what it is. But the Ravens are in a tough spot. Because they have the Cowboys next. Who knows what's going to happen in that game? 2 teams fighting to not be terrible. And then you have Ravens have the Bills and the Bengals after that. So they are in dire need of a turnaround or some wins, or they're in big trouble. Cam, your first round, your number one seed in the AFC pick is already wrong. So sorry about that for you.
Tough.
So, I mean, to be fair, mine was the Chiefs, so mine's still good. But my MVP Joe Burrow's not doing great.
My new team is also tied for first. So
Yeah, whatever. That's your team.
Chargers.
Gill has left us. Rest in peace, Gill.
It's tragic.
Let's give some credit to the Raiders though. They actually played a good game. It wasn't like what Gill said about the Vikings earlier. Whatever, dude. They didn't. It wasn't the Ravens losing the game necessarily. It was the Raiders being able to take advantage and win the game. So
Yeah. I think they did capitalize off the Ravens' mistakes, and that defense might be a defense, especially with Max Crosby on that side. So shout out to the Ravens. Very good game
pretty good.
overall. Good job.
Max Crosby's a dog, even though he got shut down by Joe Alt last week, but we won't talk about that because Joe Alt's a dog as well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what the Raiders can be. I mean, they didn't look promising against the Chargers last week, but they come out and they beat the Ravens. And I think Minshew statistically is actually doing pretty good.
Minshew is not a
Devontae
bad
Adams,
quarterback.
He's not, but he's not great either. He's not exactly who you want your starter to be for a full season. So,
No.
but he's a great backup, and he can win games like this. But we'll see what happens. I don't expect the Ravens to continue to be bad, but like I mentioned before, they're in a bad spot, and the Raiders, while they, unfortunately for them, I guess maybe not this year because the quarterbacks aren't super good. So it wouldn't be a big deal if they actually had a decent season. But it's not going to be good enough to where like you achieve anything great, and it's also not going to be bad enough to where you have a top pick. So,
Yeah.
but like I mentioned, it's not like they need one of the top quarterbacks this year unless something crazy happens and one of them looks really really good or ends up being really 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 good. But
Good trade up.
all right, what's the next game? Gil had the Gil had the games up. I don't know what it was.
Are we in the
Pause. Looking for week 2 games because I don't know what the schedule was. Gilliam was looking. Okay,
Might as well
let's
do
see here.
Broncos Steelers here?
Okay, that works.
Let's Steelers played a very good defensive game. I think they finally got a touchdown this year.
That's the only thing they know how to do. Yes, they have one touchdown on the year.
Did not really watch the game. Darnell Washington, shout out
You're
Dillon.
lucky you didn't, dude. It was so boring. Classic Steelers game. Bo Nix, trash.
Yeah,
Broncos, trash.
Nick's coming out and saying, "Yeah, I threw it to the other team."
That was funny.
Way to own up to it. I think he's tired of that offensive line already, and also playing probably just because he just got done playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not the best situation in the world, so.
The Steelers are extremely boring to watch. Unfortunately, it would have been more exciting, but the best plays to George Pickens, which were actually some great throws by Fields, were called back by offensive penalties. There was a ton of penalties in this game, which led to it being extremely boring. Fields is not being as mobile as he can be, which I hope he starts doing that more. Because I think it'll help the Steelers. But in the same hand, he's not turning the ball over, which is good.
Yes.
So he's playing. I don't know if I would call it his best that he's ever played, but definitely better than his worst. And that's for sure. Taking care of the ball, not doing anything stupid with it, and he's doing all they need him to do to win games. Like they haven't really been tested because their defense has been able to take care of one-legged Kirk Cousins and Bo Nix and the terrible Broncos. So, TJ Watt's still a fraud. I don't care, Dillon. You're not here to defend yourself. Extremely boring game to watch. I wish I didn't watch it, but that's the NFL sometimes. Look like a little Big Ten matchup out there.
It is what it is.
How about them Cardinals?
Cardinals came out and mollywopped the Rams. I would say an injured Rams team. We'll give them that, the Rams that, but
Injured Rams offense. The defense isn't good, but they were, I think they're mostly healthy. So Marvin Harrison finally made an appearance with 2 touchdowns, 130 yards, I think it was. Kyler Murray with perfect passer rating. They've got his jersey and game ball in the NFL Hall of Fame because he was, I forget what the stat it was, but he's first quarterback to have like 250 or more yards passing, some odd amount of yards rushing, and I forget, maybe a perfect passer rating. I forget exactly what it was, but the last time that specific combination of stats has been had has not been since like the 60s or 70s or something like that. So he's currently got his jersey in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Especially for a guy who has been like, and I'm not trying to compare it to Madden, but like he doesn't get over an 80 overall just because he can't stay healthy, and he kind of has always been underperforming since Hopkins left. But so we do like to see this performance out of Kyler, and I do think let me put this way, seeing Marv is going to help him a lot.
Kyler was seeing everything, dude. He could not miss in this game. He had 4 incompletions, and all of them were to Marv.
But he got new cleats so he could see over the line.
So Marv was talking after the game about Kyler's incompletions were only to him, so he was feeling bad about that. But it was good to see Marv. Marv made some good plays. I have seen and heard that first touchdown may have actually not been a touchdown, but they kept it. So technically,
I mean, still.
And Gannon on the radio, this morning they played a clip of Gannon, who was very upset that Marv reached for his second touchdown. He told him not to do that again. So
really, okay,
yeah, he was pretty upset. Obviously, it's very risky. That's probably like the worst play you can make, other than probably right behind like a pick six or just straight up giving the defense a fumble or a touchdown, is fumbling out of the back of the end zone or out of the end zone, because it turns 6 points for yourself to the other team having the ball in like an instant. So I can see where he's coming from. But I mean, if you score,
but when you're looking for
and there wasn't anyone within like punching range. Hello, Gill. I changed your name to Gill B on our view.
What the?
You're Gill B. You're Gill B now.
Gil Braun?
Gilb.
Hello?
Gilb.
Bro, I have to use my
Gilb.
work computer because my actual computer doesn't want to work at the moment. It's kind of irritating.
Yeah, we got Verizon
Right.
down around us now. It's catching up to Toledo.
Sorry, Gilb.
My Mac doesn't use Verizon, my guy.
Talking about the cards right now.
All right. Dude. Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, we say your piece. We already mentioned this in Kyler. We don't
I
really
don't
talk
have
much about the Rams because other than them being a little beat up.
So I'll say this about the Rams. It's over. It's done. They're cooked. They've got 8 players, like 8 players or something like that are hurt. A couple that are on IR. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Like, who does Stafford have to throw to now? The entire offensive line got hurt, like, week 1. I saw one tweet that said, like, they needed 9 guys to stay healthy. 8 of them are done. So, the Rams just start preparing for next year, I guess. And then, for the Cardinals,
Stafford going to be around next year?
No, I don't think he is. I don't think he is going to be, at least not in a Rams uniform. I think the Rams are going to lose enough games to where they're talking about taking a quarterback with their first-round draft pick.
Is McVay going to be around next year?
No. I'll say
McVay to the Cowboys, baby. Let's go.
If the Rams have that type of year where they're picking in the top 5, I don't think McVay comes back next year. I don't think Stafford comes back next year. Like, for what reason?
Not worth it.
The only reason McVay would come back is if he can be talked into trying to, land a top quarterback in the draft and want to develop him. But the success rate behind that is so low. Would you really want to, would you really want that to be what people remember you by? I just think that's too risky. You go out, you got your Super Bowl, just end it.
I mean, McVay can either take a year off and come back and be a coach for a better team who's not in a rebuild potentially, or he goes to TV and gets a huge bag and goes that route, because he's a good talker, and he knows football for sure.
He's better than Brady.
Yeah, potentially, yes.
We don't need to talk about Tom Brady, but with the Cardinals, it's good that Kyler Murray can finally see Marvin Harrison, because beautiful things are going to happen. The Cardinals are going to be an interesting team to watch this season, because we've seen the Cardinals before with Kyler, where they start off like 10-1, and then they just completely fall apart. Different coaching staff. It's been a couple years since then. I think Kyler's matured a little bit since then as well. But isn't there a new COD coming out?
Yep.
So
we'll see.
We'll see.
No, what's his face? Kyle Brandt.
On NFL Network.
Whatever. Yeah.
I think it's Kyle Brandt.
Said you got to find a new joke. You can't pick on him anymore. We'll see. Let's see a little bit more.
Let's give it time.
See a few more
Let's
weeks.
give it time. Don't take it away from me entirely yet.
And see what happens. But definitely a step in the right direction for the Cardinals. Although the Cardinals want Tyler to be that good. So it's going to take them out of good draft position.
Yeah.
Which I mentioned before when we were talking about the Raiders while you were gone. It's not exactly the worst year to not have a top pick, because the quarterbacks aren't like generational.
No.
By any means.
What I tell you, Cam, like a few weeks ago, like you can tell how the NFL feels about next year's quarterbacks by the fact that 6 went in the top 12 this year. Like, that's a key indicator of the NFL does not feel great about the 2025 NFL draft class for quarterbacks. They want to get them in 2024 because they just don't think they're going to be worth it come 2025.
Could be right. We'll see. And Arizona radio's loving it, so
I'm sure.
they're having a good time.
So did you guys go from Raiders to the Rams, Cardinals?
We did Raiders, Steelers.
You guys did do Steelers?
On the cards, yep.
Well,
so
as much as the Steelers were able to find the win, I got a feeling Dillon's going to score this week more than the Steelers.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Dang. All right.
Probably right.
All right, that's the only thing I'm going to say on that game.
That's crazy.
These two teams scored definitely more than the Chiefs. Or I'm sorry, than the Steelers. I'm all out of whack. This whole computer thing's starting to piss me off. Chiefs squeak out a win against the Bengals, and everybody's going to end the game. I did it, saying like, "Oh, the refs handed them another victory." It was the right call. I hate that we keep having this conversation with the Chiefs. It was a pass interference. But I know as I was watching that drive, one of two things were going to happen. I knew it. The Chiefs were going to find their way to get down there, or the refs were going to help them get down there. Like, they were going to get in field goal range, scoring territory, no matter what. And it's going to be annoying how they did it. Talking to a couple Bengals fans, like, it's irritating because they felt better about how Joe Burrow and the team played this week compared to the Patriots game, and yet they still come out with a loss. And they've got a couple like easier matchups on the schedule here soon. I mean, we've talked about them a couple different times, having the easier schedule, but you still felt like you had to get that win. And the whole like, oh, it's not Burrowhead. Burrow played better than Mahomes. Like the Bengals outplayed the Chiefs, but the Chiefs still won ultimately. I'm not saying the refs are the reason they won. It was a right call. It wasn't a bad call. It just sucks that we're having this conversation yet again for the Chiefs. Also, what I'm starting to see a lot on my timeline lately is the interception number of Patrick Mahomes that doesn't get counted because they're overturned by penalties. It's a ridiculous number. I don't have it in front of me, but it's ridiculously high how many interceptions that man has that have been overturned.
I would also like to see how many are like free play picks. Maybe there's a lot, maybe there's not.
Maybe. It's hard to say. Like, I don't...
That would also be counted.
Yeah.
But Mahomes has not played well in the first 2 games.
No.
Not anywhere near his standards. And honestly, not even well just on normal standards.
Well, the Chiefs, like Travis Kelce, hasn't been there.
Dude, he's done.
So
Done.
I think he's going to... I don't know who I heard say this, but Kelce is going to have a bad year. He's going to have a bad statistical year. And then we're going to get to the playoffs, and he's going to make a few catches that help the Chiefs get a win. If the Chiefs win and three-peat this year, Travis Kelce is retiring. There's no reason for him not to. And then he's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He's the best tight end since, I mean, I'm not saying he's better than Gronk, but you can have that conversation. And then you have like Tony Gonzalez, different playing styles, but he's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. So there's definitely going to be the push to try to get him and Jason in the Hall of Fame together. Like, I don't think Jason makes it his first year, and part of that could probably be because the voters are going to...
Jason's making it first year. There's no way.
It'll depend on who's in the class. If there's a lot of skilled guys in the class, or the voters are just going to try pushing for the Kelce brother duo the following year, which, I mean, it's the NFL. They do dumb shit. Is it the right thing to do? Probably not, but I can still see it happening. Either way, I think this is the last year for Travis Kelce, and a lot of the jokes are like, oh, well, Taylor Swift. He's old. He's an older player who plays a gritty position. What's that?
And his whole thing was being athletic.
Yeah.
I said he's like 34 years old.
Yeah, he's 34. He's just not the same guy he was. It happens. It's a sport where people get older, and as you get older, your body doesn't react the same as it used to when you were younger. It's just the way it is. Like, Tom Brady playing till he was 45 is the anomaly. Doesn't happen. And even then...
Was Jamar Chase not getting a bag anymore?
I don't think. Not if he keeps talking.
And he started crying on the field and got him in trouble. And just absolute boneheaded play by him. Even him and Burrow were getting into a little tussle there with Burrow trying to like get him to stop. Like,
He's
that's
a diva.
A terrible look.
Wide receivers
diva.
are divas.
Yes.
The best ones, especially. Usually. There's 2 fans in this chat of teams that have superstar wide receivers that have not been divas yet. But all you need is
He was close.
Got
Not yet. Not full on diva yet.
This doesn't look like a Chiefs team, a 3-peat Chiefs team, but it's going to be annoying when we get to the end of the year and they just
didn't last year either.
Right. Like last year, I remember clamoring they need to make a move for wide receiver. They need to make a move for wide receiver, and they still won the Super Bowl with scrubs.
Yep.
Like, I don't want a scrubs, but Andy Reid will take them all.
Yeah.
He's not. He doesn't go chasing waterfalls.
The Chiefs are by far the team that has earned the benefit of the doubt. I mean, they're 2-0.
Yeah.
But they don't they haven't looked great. But in my opinion, they don't need to.
Nope.
They didn't look great last year either. And
Here's
look
the
what
thing.
happened.
It's the Chiefs. It's just make it to the playoffs. And once you get to the playoffs, it's like Tom Brady and the Patriots. They weren't always the best during the regular season. Once they got to the playoffs, good luck. We got anything left on this game? We've got 2 left. What do we got time-wise?
Wrap it
1.5.
up.
Okay, let's wrap this.
We got 2 games.
We got 2 games. Texans-Bears, 19-13. Caleb Williams looks like a rookie. Okay? I've said this multiple times.
Looks like a bad rookie.
Very
That'll
bad.
happen. His
He's
play
not playing in
style...
college.
He was good. Why do people keep saying he wasn't good in college? He was.
I said you're
He's a-
not playing in
Oh.
college.
I thought you said you're not good in college. I had somebody else tell me that. I'm like, what? He was. He was talented. He's rookie quarterbacks, especially with that. They're so used to being able to get away with anything. It takes them a minute to learn what they can and cannot get away with. And this is why I clamor for teams to not start rookies out the gate. He has to sit there and learn. J.J. McCarthy getting hurt was probably the best thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
Truth be told, because he is forced into a situation where he has to sit there. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, if Sam Darnold gets to a point where we need to bench him, then we have to play JJ. Like, you don't. It's a redshirt year, and that's what most rookie quarterbacks should have. Caleb Williams has got all the skill. Like that last interception, you saw some of that USC where he broke out of the sack and then he made the bad throw. Like, you saw shades in that play of what made him the first overall pick, and then it's like, you know what, he's a rookie. I will not.
DJ Moore was heated.
What?
See him?
No.
DJ Moore was heated.
I believe it. He
Caleb
wants to
missed
win.
him pretty bad a few times. DJ Moore was heated on the sideline.
I
Not
believe it.
happy.
It's going to happen. But he's a young quarterback. Like, that's my rant on young quarterbacks in general. I like when they do succeed. I like when they play well. But I also try understanding that they're going to
Need
make
to
their
fire
mistakes.
Eberflus. They should have fired him already.
They should
They
have.
should not have brought him in with Caleb Williams.
No.
You need to have an offensive mind with your young QB.
That's the other thing. Caleb Williams has no time back there.
Yeah.
He's got no O-line. That's my Williams rant. CJ Stroud.
Best. Yeah. Stroud's the guy.
He's that guy.
Although, they probably should have won by more than they did. It's my
Yeah, the
takeaway
fact
from
that
the
they were
Texans from the
in
first
that
2
for as long-
weeks.
The fact that they were in that for as long as they were, I mean, it's a 6-point game. Definitely should have been a lot more.
Those characters
That's been my
later in the
Texans
season.
takeaway from the first 2 weeks is that they're winning. It feels like they should have been smoking the Colts and the Bears. I mean, the Bears have a good defense, and the Colts.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson went crazy for like 2 seconds.
Well, I think
So-
they both, they went up against 2 good defenses just from the first 2 weeks. Like, the Bears gave up 19 points to the Texans. They gave up 17 to the Titans. Like, you look at that, and it's like, all right, well, the Titans, not that great anyways. But then the Colts, they gave up 16. So, like, you look at it, and if you want to be the optimist for the Texans, is that they went up against 2 probably top half of the league defenses. And just scoring in general and offensive play in general across the league is not good. Like, the amount of quarterbacks that are throwing under 200 yards through the first 2 weeks, it's a lot. Have we set our piece on this game? It seems like
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
there really wasn't much else.
yeah. All right, Drew, I'm sure you got a couple opinions on this last one. Monday Night
I have a
Football,
lot of opinions.
Eagles 21-22 fall to the Falcons. Kirk O'Chains gets the game-winning touchdown drive.
Kirk
And-
Chains.
That made me so sad. He's not Kirk Chains anymore.
He still
is.
is.
woke up and
He's
then
even
saw that
more
they
Kurt
won.
Loshanes now.
He's in
He's
Atlanta.
He's
in
won more
Atlanta.
primetime games in Atlanta than he ever won with the Vikings.
But before Drew, you start your rant about how bad Jalen Hurts is or how bad Nick Sirianni is. We're not talking about any of this. If Saquon Barkley catches a damn ball on fourth down, like that was, I understand why they went with that call. It was the right call. Ultimately, the play was there. The play was there. He gets a first down, maybe even more, if he catches it, and it bounces right off his hands. Sets up the Falcons for a drive. And the analytics tell you, like, oh, you trust your defense to get a stop and not allow a touchdown. The defense choked on that final drive. Jalen Hurts made some good throws. He didn't have A.J. Brown out there. I thought him and Devontae Smith connected that touchdown. That was ballsy because he had the other safety coming in, but he got it out right in the nick of time. Yeah, the interception at the end was terrible, especially when you have number 18 right underneath Devontae, and you didn't need to push the ball that far downfield. You didn't have to in that. All you needed was a field goal. And the Jalen Hurts interceptions are becoming an issue. They are. I've been the biggest Jalen Hurts optimist or fan, whatever here. The interceptions, the turnovers are becoming an issue. You got to get that fixed. But I'm really not on the fire Nick Sirianni. I'm not on the Nick Sirianni's at fault for this loss as much as maybe some others here are. Because I thought he made the right call there at the end. It just didn't work out. And it's like Dan Campbell, right? When you're aggressive and it works, you're praised. When it doesn't work, you get shit on. And that comes with being the head coach. That comes with that's why they get paid millions of dollars to make those decisions. But the Falcons coming away with the win at the end. Good for Kirk. Good for Kirk too, because it looked. I mean, if they started off 0-2, especially when you have the Saints and the Buccaneers in that division that are hot right now, that sets you apart. That puts you behind, and now they get to stay a little frisky there in the NFC South. So good for Kirk. Good to see Quinyon Mitchell getting in, and I thought he nearly had the interception there. He's a rookie corner, so there's been a few plays where he's been he hasn't been in the right spot, but he's also made some, like, he's not getting burned every single play. And for a first-round draft pick coming out of the MAC, it's kind of what I like seeing right now. It's not going to be perfect all the time. So I did want to shout out Quinyon Mitchell there. The other corners, like the Eagles' defense in general, is just buns. It's not good. It is not good. And then Saquon Barkley, I don't think got the ball nearly enough. I feel like they didn't feed him nearly as much as they should have there at times. But ultimately, we're not having the conversations that we are if he catches the pass there within the 10-yard or within 10 yards. So that's my piece. Drew, floor is yours.
Yeah, the Eagles are frauds. I think we already knew that. 2-7 in their last 9. Not good. What was the stat I shared about Jalen Hurts earlier today? Let me find it real quick. So it's important. It should just be a couple scrolls up here.
Shouldn't take us that long.
I thought I shared it. Yeah, here we go. Jalen Hurts is up to 24 turnovers in his last 20 games played, dating back to the beginning of the 2023 season. The season before that, he had just 9 in the 18 games that they played.
The Jets broke Jalen Hurts, man.
Played.
The Jets bum ass backup corners broke Jalen Hurts.
Might have. Hurts has not been good. He is not escaping the running back allegations. He has a couple throws that are good. I'll give it to him. But when the Eagles have to throw the ball, all hell breaks loose. And their defense is not good. It seems like it should be, but it's just not.
They have the names. That's the thing. It's good, and I use Madden a lot as, like, it's a good Madden defense because they have the names, so they're hyped up. But the actual play on the field doesn't live up to that hype.
Howie Roseman not escaping the names that you know allegations. Sirianni is a bum. He's lame. He's cheesy. He should be fired. He doesn't actually do anything. He's not the play caller for either side of the ball. He's just there to be trash. I mean, not surprising for a Philly team. It's a good thing that their security guard got some screen time today, continuing the trashness of the Philly team. Gardner Johnson also trash. He's an actual piece of garbage on the field. He definitely took his helmet off first and foremost. He took it off. They showed it on TV actually multiple times. He took his helmet off, and then the whole Eagles team cried and they picked up the flag. Anyways, any day that the Eagles lose is a great day. Fantastic day. Hilarious, to be honest, because obviously, anytime either one of us lose, the other side's running their mouth, and then they go ahead and lose, a day later. So it's ironic. Sirianni's on the hot seat, man. If they're bad this year, he's gone.
Yeah.
Well, he was almost gone last year, and his pitch was, "Hey, let's bring in Kellen Moore. He can call the plays, and hopefully that saves the team."
And Vic Fangio.
Big Fangio, yep. So far, has not. Neither of those. Absolute choke job to the Falcons. Even though Saquon didn't make that catch, you take the field goal with minute 30, minute 40, maybe more. Maybe it was even minute 50. But the Falcons had used all their timeouts. Kirk got them into the red zone in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's an absolute defensive failure.
With the same play.
They diced the Eagles defense.
With Darnell
Mooney.
Mooney.
Who has been buns the entire...
Kyle Pitts.
Crazy.
Kyle Pitts started. He got the first one. Darnell Mooney got some action, and then Drake London scores on Darius Slade. That's my guy. Hopefully we get some more action with him going forward. But then he gets an unsportsmanlike and freaking Younghoe Koo has to kick a 48-yard extra point, which was nuts.
Easy
know
money.
that I didn't realize this until they showed the graphic. I know Younghoe Koo's been in the league for a while, but he's got the third best kicking percentage all time.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, you think about it, just to go off on that real quick, it depends on the number of attempts is always a factor.
Minimum. I don't know what the number of attempts or anything like that, but
yeah. And honestly, we see this all the time. For a long time, it was Dan Bailey with the Cowboys was the most accurate kicker in NFL history.
Who was the guy for the Lions? Was it
once
Dan
they get closer
Hansen?
to, yes, but he's the number one scorer in Lions history still.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he was really good for a long time, one of the highest scorers in NFL history. And you see these Younghoe will be there for a while until he gets towards the end of his career, obviously, and
until he becomes Justin Tucker.
Will fall down. Yeah, we're seeing it with Justin Tucker. He's the only kicker in the league that's missed over 50 yards.
I was just about to say that. NFL kickers are 14 for 16 or something like that from 50 plus.
Even higher than that. It's 30.
Is it that 30s. High? And the only two misses have both been Justin Tucker. It's time to hang him up while your kicking percentage is as high as it is. You don't want to mess that up.
Anyways, the Eagles, when they got the ball back after the Falcons scored, they needed before the Hurts interception, they needed 15 yards to be at Elliott's career long, which was 61. It's not that long in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's still long, but he's made it before. And they still had a timeout, and there was still 40-some seconds, I think, maybe more, on the clock.
You didn't need
There's
to
just
throw
no
that.
reason. There was no reason for him to throw that ball.
No.
And that's kind of where Hurts' problem has been. He's been too careless with the ball, and I'm not quite sure why. He had pressure coming in. He got hit on that throw.
But
that's not the play to make. And it loses them the game. Now the Commanders are in first place.
You mentioned Nick Sirianni being on the hot seat. Say the Eagles, I don't know, win the division 9-8. Okay. The division's not going to be that good, hypothetically. And then they get bumped out of the playoffs. Sirianni's gone the next day, right?
Yep.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you look at it last year. What did they finish?
Losing
11
to the
or 12
Buccaneers.
and
That's all that
Yep.
needs to be said. Losing to the
Yeah, but
Buccaneers
they had-
and Baker Mayfield in their
had
first
11
year.
or 12 wins last year.
They started like 10-1.
Yeah.
11.
And he was like, for most teams, that's considered a pretty good year. Like, obviously, they lost in the first round.
But the way they ended is what?
Yeah. Anything short of a playoff win, I think he's gone. Because, well, it's kind of funny because I guess it goes back to knowing the names on the roster. The roster looks like it should be good.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, the offense is. Mostly. The defense is not. But it's good enough to where
You should win the
you have to-
playoffs
you have
and
to-
win a home
you have to
playoff
at least
game. Or sorry, make it to the
compete.
playoffs.
Yeah. You should be competing definitely for the division title this year. And you should be able to win a singular playoff game.
Well, if they don't even win the division title, he should be gone. If they don't make the playoffs, he should be. Like, the only way he keeps his job is if they win a playoff game, I think.
Yes. Yep. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Anyways,
But
Eagles suck.
Love the Eagles
Falcons
losing.
are
It's
frauds.
hilarious. Falcons are not frauds. They just won.
They did. They just won in
Rookie
filthy.
fraud.
Philadelphia.
They won in Philadelphia. In prime time.
Wrap it up.
Something that Kirk couldn't do.
You
All right,
literally
we got
won
any-
in prime time against San Fran last year, but go ahead.
It wasn't prime
Brady.
time, bro.
What was it?
Yep.
Was it like 4
Was it?
p.m. prime
It
time?
was
It was
a
it
1 or a
Monday?
4 p.m. game.
One-
it was
was
Monday
not.
night football. It was
Last
Monday
year.
night
Monday
football.
night.
Last
it was not.
year. Yes.
It was not Monday. The sun
Look
sun
it
was
up,
out.
brother.
I am.
Because I know exactly what I was doing that night. Having a
The day was
back
October
turned to
23rd.
me all night.
Oh, no. We will not end the podcast until I prove Cam's wrong.
It's all right.
Cam is right.
It might have been a Thursday. No, we didn't wear our
It was
clothes.
8:15.
Monday.
Holy shit.
Yep. All right.
I'll give it
wrap
to you.
it up.
I was wrong.
Wrap it up.
That's on me.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up.
I apologize for being wrong.
And
But
thank
that is
you
week
for
2.
coming.
Wait, hold on. Was Kirk playing that game?
Yes,
Or was
he
he hurt?
was. JJ was hurt. Addison had 2 touchdowns, one right before half that he stole. Justin Jefferson put a top 10 chain on Kirk O'Chains.
It was an ESPN top 10. Someone else just got that last week.
All right. Let's wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here for week 2 of the NFL season. Dillon, hope you're enjoying Greece out there. Give us your feedback, I guess. I mean, you weren't here, so like your opinion only matters so much. We'll be back. We'll try getting – that's why we didn't get a parlay up, because Dillon had to get married. So for everybody that's irritated that we didn't get a parlay of the week up, just go blame Dillon. That's the
Dillon.
easiest thing. That's what I'm going to do.
Make him do it from Greece.
That's what we should. That's what we should do, actually.
You probably can't sports bet in Greece, actually.
I don't know. I don't have time to look into that. So we are going to try getting some sort of parlay of the week up, but make sure you stay tuned to the feed. Follow us at Party Chat Sports on Twitter or X, YouTube, TikTok, anywhere you get your podcast, all at Party Chat Sports. Until next time, hope everyone has a great week 3. Get started with the Jets beating the living piss out of the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. And then again, as always, hope your team wins unless they go and play against ours. Have a great week 3. See you guys next week. Peace.
Adios, go Vikings.
Peace.